The question isn't whether Matthew Stafford can still play at an elite level. The question is whether he wants to keep paying the price that greatness demands. Because at 38 years old, with another season that looked like something straight out of his prime, the Los Angeles Rams quarterback now finds himself standing at the most uncomfortable crossroads in football. One path leads toward legacy, one more run, and the familiar grind. The other leads toward peace, reflection, and walking away while the fire still burns. And that's where Aaron Donald enters the picture. Not as a headline grabber. Not as a recruiter. But as the one voice Stafford trusts enough to listen to when the noise gets too loud. Aaron Donald doesn't talk just to talk. When he speaks, it's usually because something matters. And when the former Rams defensive cornerstone was asked about Matthew Stafford's future, he didn't dodge the moment. He leaned into it. Calm. Honest. Certain in his uncertainty. If you ask me about the way he played this year, an MVP-type season, I think he's got one more left. Those words hit differently when they come from someone who has lived every snap, every bruise, every sacrifice that comes with chasing championships in Los Angeles. Donald wasn't trying to convince anyone. He wasn't campaigning. He was simply telling the truth as he sees it. And the truth is this. Stafford didn't just survive this season. He dominated it. This wasn't a farewell tour masked as relevance. This was one of the most efficient, explosive, and controlled seasons of Stafford's career. 46 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, over 4,700 passing yards, 65% completion, and maybe most jaw-dropping of all, 28 straight touchdown passes without throwing a single interception. That streak alone put him in rare air. According to the Elias Sports Bureau, it's the longest such run since play-by-play tracking began in 1978. Not Brady, not Manning, not Rodgers, Stafford. And yet, somehow, the story around him isn't celebration. It's contemplation. Because football has never been about just what you can do. It's about what it costs. Stafford knows that better than most. He's lived through the highs, the injuries, the questions, the whispers that his best years were behind him. After the Super Bowl run in 2021, his production dipped. The body took hits. The league got younger. The narrative shifted. Until this season felt like a resurrection. A reminder. A statement. The Rams didn't just stay competitive. They were among the league's elite from start to finish. They finished with the highest scoring offense in the NFL. They didn't limp through the year. They imposed their will. And they did it with a roster that isn't falling apart anytime soon. There's continuity in Los Angeles. Stability. Weapons that aren't going anywhere. A system that clearly works. That matters when you're deciding whether to walk away or run it back. And it's why Stafford has already hinted that playing into 2026 isn't some wild fantasy. It's a possibility. A real one. But possibilities don't make decisions easier. They make them heavier. After the Rams' NFC Championship loss to the Seattle Seahawks, Stafford didn't rush to sum up 6 months of sacrifice in a few emotional sentences. He didn't give fans a neat answer. He didn't close any doors. Instead, he chose honesty. Speaking on the Let's Go podcast, Stafford laid it bare. This isn't about stats. It's not even about rings. It's a physical, a mental, and emotional decision, a personal and a family decision as well. That's the part fans often forget. Every throw has a cost. Every Sunday adds weight that doesn't show up on the stat sheet. And when you've already climbed the mountain, the question becomes whether the view is worth the climb again. Stafford made it clear. He's not rushing this. He wants time to appreciate the season, the people, the moments, before thinking about what comes next for his family. And while he reflects, another factor quietly looms in the background. Money.in May of 2025, the Rams locked Stafford into a 2-year, $84 million deal through the 2026 season. $42 million per year. Solid money. But in today's quarterback market, it's starting to look modest. Especially when you compare it to names like Tua Tagovailoa at over $53 million per year. Jalen Hurts at $51. Dak Prescott set to make $60 million next season. Stafford sees the numbers. He sees the production. And it's only natural to feel underpaid when your performance stacks up with or surpasses those names. Reports have already suggested that Stafford could leverage his uncertainty into a renegotiation. A raise. Security that matches his value. And here's where the story gets interesting. Because this isn't a standoff. It's a conversation. The Rams want him back. That much is clear. The roster is built to win now. The window is open, and Stafford gives them the best chance to capitalize on it. But the final call doesn't belong to the front office, that it belongs to the quarterback. And in moments like that, advice doesn't come from agents or headlines. It comes from those who understand the toll, that's why Aaron Donald's words matter so much. Donald knows what it feels like to walk away while still capable. He knows the peace that comes with choosing your moment instead of having it chosen for you. And he also knows the regret that can linger if you leave something unfinished. He didn't pressure Stafford. He didn't sell him a dream. He simply acknowledged what the tape already shows, that there's still something left. History backs that up. According to ESPN research, Stafford's season marks only the 8th time in NFL history that a quarterback has thrown for at least 4,500 yards and 45 touchdowns in a single season. 6 of the previous 7 quarterbacks who hit that mark won the MVP. That's not coincidence. That's dominance. Even now, Stafford remains in the MVP conversation alongside New England's Drake May. And despite May having 1 game left, Stafford still leads him by 313 passing yards and 15 touchdowns. At 38 years old. This isn't survival. It's excellence. And that's what makes the decision so brutal. Walk away now, and you leave with your head high, your body intact, your legacy secure. Stay, and you risk injury, decline, and the unforgiving nature of time. But you also get another shot, another season in a system that fits. Another run with a roster that believes. Another chance to remind the league that age doesn't define hunger, that's the internal battle Stafford is fighting right now. And it's one only he can win. Aaron Donald has offered perspective, not direction. Confidence, not pressure. And in doing so, he's given Stafford something invaluable. Clarity without expectation. So now the waiting begins. Weeks of reflection. Conversations with family. Quiet moments away from cameras. And eventually, a decision that will ripple through the entire league. Because if Matthew Stafford comes back, the Rams instantly become one of the most dangerous teams in football. And if he doesn't, Los Angeles enters a new era, one defined by uncertainty and transition. Either way, the legacy is set. But the story might not be finished. And that's what makes this moment so powerful. So let me ask you this. If you were Matthew Stafford, coming off an MVP caliber season at 38 years old, with a roster built to win and a trusted voice telling you there's still one more left, do you run it back, or do you walk away on your own terms? Drop your answer in the comments. Let's talk about it. But here's the part that doesn't show up in box scores, contract numbers, or MVP debates. It's the quiet part of retirement conversations. The part players rarely say out loud, because when quarterbacks reach this stage of their careers, the question stops being, can I still do it? And starts becoming, what does it take for me to keep doing it? Matthew Stafford has already given the NFL everything it asked for. The arm talent, the toughness, the resilience, the willingness to stand in collapsing pockets and deliver throws knowing the hit is coming. He did that for over a decade in Detroit, often without the rewards. And then, when he finally got the roster, the timing, and the belief in Los Angeles, he delivered a Super Bowl almost immediately. That changes how you view the rest of your career. You're no longer chasing validation. You're protecting meaning. And that's why Aaron Donald's advice carries weight that goes far beyond football technique or locker room motivation. Donald walked away at the height of his powers. Not because he couldn't dominate anymore, but because he understood something most players don't realize until it's too late. The game will always ask for more. Another offseason. Another rehab. Another year away from family. Another winter of pain disguised as preparation. When Donald says he thinks Stafford has one more left, he's not ignoring those realities. He's acknowledging them. He's saying that if Stafford chooses to return, it won't be because he has to prove anything. It'll be because he still wants the challenge. And right now, all signs suggest that competitive fire hasn't gone out. Look at how Stafford played in high-leverage moments this season. The command at the line of scrimmage. The trust in his receivers. The confidence to push the ball downfield without forcing mistakes. This wasn't a quarterback playing scared. This was a quarterback playing free. That freedom is dangerous for the rest of the league. It's also what makes walking away so hard. Because players don't retire when they're bad. They retire when the cost outweighs the joy. And sometimes, after a season like this, the joy feels louder than the pain. But there's also the organizational side of this equation. The Rams aren't rebuilding. They aren't resetting. They've structured their roster to stay competitive now. That's a subtle but critical signal to Stafford. It tells him the franchise believes in the window. It tells him that if he comes back, he's not carrying the load alone. That matters when you're 38, that the offensive continuity matters too. Same system, same rhythm, same trust. There's no learning curve waiting for him. No wasted months adjusting to new terminology or chemistry. If Stafford returns, he steps right back into an offense designed to maximize what he does best. And when quarterbacks reach this age, familiarity becomes a weapon. Still, there's one more layer to this decision that doesn't get enough attention. Legacy timing. Quarterbacks don't just retire. They exit the stage. And how that exit feels can shape how the career is remembered emotionally, even if the accomplishments are already locked in. Walk away after an MVP-caliber season, and the story becomes one of discipline and self-awareness. Stay 1 year too long, and narratives can shift fast. Stafford knows that. He's seen it happen to others, that's why his words about taking time matter so much. He's not chasing headlines. He's protecting the meaning of the journey. He wants to sit with this season, not rush past it. Because when you've been through injuries, criticism, reinvention, and finally redemption, you don't casually decide what comes next. And that's where fans often underestimate the emotional weight of the decision. This isn't just about football Sundays. It's about mornings when the body doesn't feel right. It's about whether you want to spend another offseason training instead of healing. It's about whether your kids remember you more in pads or at home. That's the real calculation. Aaron Donald understands that better than anyone. And by not pushing Stafford one way or the other, he's doing exactly what a true teammate does. He's reminding him that the decision doesn't have to be loud. It just has to be right. The league, meanwhile, waits, because Stafford's choice will shape the Rams' immediate future. It will affect draft strategies, free agency plans, and the balance of power in the NFC. One decision, quietly made, could tilt an entire conference that if he returns, defenses will spend another year trying to solve a quarterback who just proved he can still carve them up. If he doesn't, the Rams face a transition that no amount of preparation can fully soften. That's why this moment feels bigger than one player. It's about how careers end. It's about knowing when to hold on and when to let go. It's about choosing yourself without abandoning the game you love. Matthew Stafford has earned the right to take his time. He's earned the right to decide without pressure. And he's earned the respect that comes with having options. Aaron Donald's voice isn't pushing him toward one more season. It's simply reminding him that if he chooses that path, he won't be chasing ghosts. He'll be chasing something real. And sometimes, knowing that is enough. So now the countdown begins. Not to a press conference. Not to a contract announcement. But to a personal decision that will define the final chapter of a remarkable career. One more run, or the perfect ending. The answer is coming. And when it does, the NFL will feel it.